Another beautiful Thursday morning in the city of Ibadan and, of course, in Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have each and every one of you. Stay tuned to the Remedy Radio Dial Solutions 93.9 FM. On this beautiful day, the very last Thursday in the month of August, and then moving on to the Ember months, I am optimistic and I am prayerful that this day will be blissful and, of course, very, very, very fruitful for each and every one of us. Well, my name is Favor Oloruntola, and in a few moments I will be having a conversation with Comrade Ayodeji Ajishokwe, who is the analyst on the program for this morning, and I'll be joining him virtually. And this morning, it's a back and forth. It is decisions being made, and of course, the political scene is also in a very interesting state. Aside from the fact, or despite the fact that the APC already gave President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, beg your pardon, is ticket and and appointed as they already gave the backing. There is still an open ticket for the primaries in the APC. And the first thing that came to my mind is, are we going to have a recurrence of what happened at the primaries about 3 years ago? Well, more questions to be asked as well. When, as of last week, I remembered myself and Comrade Ayodeji Ajishokwe spoke at length regarding the increase in salaries for political orders. Now, ASU had a protest on Tuesday. Now they're also asking for a review in the salaries of the lecturers and the everyone in the education sector. Please give more attention you give to the political scene to the education scene. Was this a wrong request or a right request? This and many more we're discussing this morning on From the Dailies. Thank you once again for staying tuned. I'll be back in a moment. Very soon, myself and Comrade Ayodeji Ajishokwe will be delving into this and more. Stay tuned. To you, Comrade Ayodeji Ajishokwe. It's a pleasure having you right here on the last Thursday of August, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it was the first
It's amazing.
Or first Thursday in August. I was saying, "Oh, welcome to the new month," and now the month of August is gone, wrapping up. How are you today, sir?
That's what they say. Well, time. They say TikTok is the time. And TikTok, here we are, the last Thursday of August. And just like you said earlier, we're moving into the ones they call Ember months.
Yes.
Well, we thank God. We thank God.
All right.
So let's go.
Yeah, let's go. All right. Do we start with the education sector first?
Let's do that. It's a very critical
I know
sector.
that you are really, really interested in that particular story.
Yes, I am a son of teachers, and I also worked in that space. And I can tell you that And of course, education is the future, is
Mm,
critical, and this is what you put into it today that the future speaks for this nation.
mm. Okay, so let's start with that. According to the
All right.
story, on Tuesday there was a protest. I mean, around Nigeria, as to requesting a lot of things, and we have this striking and the strike threat. ASU, the VCs decry Prof's 525,000 naira monthly pay, and they're asking for a review from that. I remember the last week we discussed the pay rise of political office orders, and
Yeah.
I made mention of priorities being set. When the minimum wage wanted to be approved, it was back and forth. It before it even got to the papers, it was like a fight, a tug of war. When it got to political office orders, it was as though it has been stamped, sealed, and nobody can discuss it, and nobody can change that. When it comes to the education sector as well, it is also happening with what happened with the minimum wage saga. Let's talk about this. Where are our priorities lying at?
Well, you see, I want to use India as an example. You go to the tech industry today, in the whole of Silicon Valley, by the time you three, an Indian is a part of the top level management of any tech company globally that is worth being called that. India did not arrive at that location by sudden flight. And of course, you and I know that it is technology, tech, that drives the global space now. It was a deliberate and intentional policy of the Indian government that, okay, this is the way the world is going. Let's go ahead. And they sent massively sponsored Indian students to the United States to go and study, technology. I mean, information technology. And that is why that occurred, maybe about 20, 25 years later. So India did not just arrive on the global space. So your education, missional and deliberate. I was speaking with a researcher, and she was telling me, and go to the libraries. Thank God for technology that you can have the solution in the education space to at the best of the you visit. Even in the 80s, the books in our libraries virtually. Now, look at the big space. The crux of this wahala is the 2009 agreement. Basically, that's just the crux of it. And what does it talk about? Let's just take a few of them. And I think just 2 or 3. The one they call revitalization. And then the earned allowances went to the welfare. If you give an assignment, you understand, you do not remunerate me well and discipline up. I will not authenticate as I need to. Look at the government. They pick up the children, they make provisions for education of the children and all of that. If you have to look, you are teaching in a class and you have to worry about the school fees of your children, or you're even doing a research. Children are on holidays now. As soon, apart from their eating morning, night, and afternoon, parents are already worried about fees. You understand?
Yeah.
Those are basics, even to feed society. What are tertiary educations meant for? They are meant to think solutions. to challenges that confront society and advance the society. Do you think the academics, as they are, a vice chancellor? I've worked in that space. A vice chancellor, they say they earn 520 or whatever. By the time they deduct tax, it doesn't get to that. It is probably only the medical professors that earn more than that in view of the operational terrain in which they are. So academic professors, no one earns more than 500,000 naira after deduction of tax. How does that work? Just divide that by 1,500. What does it give you? That's way less. That's way less than 1,000. Just divide it by 3, because $1,000 is 1.5 million. So maybe 33% of 1,500,000. Can you imagine a professor that spends all his life research and teaching? A person that will impart knowledge, apart from being knowledgeable, must be in the right frame of mind and to worsen it. Since 2009, no modification has been done to the salaries of academics. That was the 2009 agreement. No modification has been done. I don't think that is sustainable. And unfortunately, you remember the last time, the Nigerian society, chastised academics and called them alasheju. That what is it that all they're talking about is their own welfare? Shouldn't you be concerned about the welfare of the people that impart knowledge in your children to make them? You see, when you say knowledge, we think in this country generally that when you say you are a student in a university or even a secondary school, they think knowledge starts and ends with book knowledge. No, the lecturers, the teacher in secondary school, the teacher in primary school does more than that. He also imparts knowledge about life beyond the what they call book knowledge. And that is what makes you robust. I'm sure you can recollect one or two, at least one of your teachers in primary school that impacted you beyond book knowledge.
Mr. Fable.
I'm sure you can also.
I will gladly mention his name, Mr. Fable.
Now, secondary school, they said. And you know that it is beyond, that one is beyond book knowledge. Some of them might have imparted values beyond book knowledge. That is the critical import of a teacher at any level. And the interesting thing that I've seen, even in Nigeria now, parents are shifting blame on teachers for everything. Even their own responsibility as parents. Isn't that a huge task that is expected from teachers? And look at infrastructure. Don't even talk about infrastructure. Even when, of course, you can attest to the fact that how crowded your lecture theaters were for some courses. Even when I was in university, there were fights. And I'm talking, can you imagine? Early 80s and late 70s, there were fights in our lecture theaters for space. People will stand outside, and imagine it has worsened, way worsened than that. So unless we are, let me tell you, they say if you think education is expensive, you can try ignorance. I'm not going to say this government has done nothing. No. NEL Fund, the introduction of NEL Fund has impacted, has been a critical factor. And there must be, look at it, 2009, and then 2000, Babalaki, Professor Briggs, and then the last one. I'm talking about renegotiations. The last one is the Ayale report. Since 2024, up to 2023 or 2024, it has not been implemented for how long? And the Buhari administration said the 2009 agreement is not implementable. Even David Mark, as the president, said it. In fact, he said that those who government sent were incompetent and irresponsible. Okay, but let us renegotiate. Even the renegotiated ones, 3 or 4, including the latest one, the Ayali. So I believe strongly that, look at NELFund, a specific percentage of revenue of federal inland revenue goes to they have to do that to federal tertiary institutions too. It is going to speak for the future. And you and I know, even in life, our individual lives, it is what we do today that will grow and will bear fruit in the next 5-10 years and make us become whatever we are going to be. And as parents, it is what you impart in your children, in values and all of that, that they will turn out to become. It is the same thing for education. And if education is not taken seriously, that's a dangerous one. I remember in the days of Gawan, the first assault, I'll call it assault, on tertiary education by the military was asking academics to vacate their residencies. You know, because they were going to go on strike. They were asked to vacate their residencies. These were people who did not even bother to buy land or do anything. That was the first time they raised their consciousness and they started hustling to build or buy houses outside the campuses. The same thing happened to the civil service when Murtala Obasanjo came. They fired civil servants, and that was the major blow to bureaucracy in Nigeria. And rather than check the political elite that the bureaucracy was supposed to do, they just joined hands with the political elite. They were the ones even navigating for them and showing them the way. And that is why we are where we are today. We should be sensitive. We should be sensitive.
All right. I hope that sensitivity is what gets into the minds of everyone involved in this whole issue. Let's move on.
Meeting today, all the stakeholders are meeting today. ASU is not involved. I hope the meeting will produce positive impact.
Has any meeting ever produced any positive impact?
I think I want to believe that this administration needs to do something. And they have been boasting that in the past 2 years, there has been no disruption to the academic calendar.
You know what happened when the last strike occurred? You know how the federal government, made the lecturers go back to work? This is written in history. They are being incapacitated in a way, yet it's as though, I don't want to use the word tyranny. They cannot talk because we know what is going to happen. They've been taken to court. And they just need to go with the flow. I think I don't know how it's going to happen. They were forced to go back to work without getting what they were asking for.
Yeah, and that was a big blow to morale. It was terrible. But I believe that decisions will be reached that will be positive for tertiary education in Nigeria. I believe so. I hope so. I hope and believe.
I wanted to talk about the APC interesting thing going on, especially with the primaries. They've endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yet there's still an open ticket for the primaries for the presidential ticket. And I had to just laugh because what is this going on? Intelligence of Nigerians? We already know the ticket
does not translate into. They are not playing on our intelligence because if they think they are, if you think you can fool some of the people some of the time, you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. You understand? Nigerians know their antics and they know where it is headed.
Well,
and it is no longer rocket science.
I'm looking forward to another drama at the primaries, actually, like what occurred 3 years ago. The last primaries at the APC primaries was really, really intriguing and interesting. I'm looking forward to another.
Yes.
I want to know how
It,
the president can navigate his way again to get the presidential ticket. Yes, it's been endorsed, it's been anointed, but, maybe he still needs to get a ticket or not.
PDP is doing something similar. I mean, they have zoned it to the south and they're running around trying to persuade President Jonah to come and run again. And that is in spite of what looks like a legal encumbrance, and that could put the party even in trouble because people will go to court. So
Jonathan
politicians
doesn't seem
are different from.
interested.
You never can tell.
Well,
The smell of power is
it was because
intoxicating.
of the people, according to him, he stepped down. Now he's looking at the non-disruption for the South, the way it's been so far. He doesn't want it to get to that level. And we all know former President Goodluck Jonathan to be an empath, a person who loves his people, who can leave the presidential seat just to make sure that Nigeria is good. So why would you want to do something like that?
The presidential seat, my dear sister, he did not leave. He was defeated. He was defeated in an election. All these things that people are ascribing that he left. No, he was defeated in an election, and leave he had to.
A sitting president with the old thing that went on underneath.
It doesn't matter. There was an election and he was defeated. He was defeated in an election. He didn't say he was not defeated.
Okay.
And he accordingly conceded to the winner of that election.
Let's see how it goes.
They did not tell us that he was rigged out.
Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes.
Maybe he might get tempted to get that, to go run or not. We are going to see how it goes. Mike, comrade Ayodeji,
I hope he will not get tempted.
Well, like you said, it's the smell of power.
Oh yes, very intoxicating.
Very intoxicating.
Very.
So let's see how this all pans out.
Very.
Thank you very much for joining me today, comrade. Catch you next week Thursday by the grace of God.
Thank you. You have a fruitful day. Bless you.
I will. That was conversation with comrade Ayodeji Adishokwe on From the Dailies this morning. I mentioned something earlier. Please, I hope that today will be fruitful, but to make it fruitful, you need to make use of your time. August is gone, and before we can get another August 28, that's going to be in 2026, and we cannot get an August 28, 2025 anymore. Whatever you do today really matters and really counts. Have yourself a wonderful day. Please make good use of this last Thursday in August for good. Be safe, be good, and don't change the dial from Solutions 93.9 FM. My name is Favor Olorontola.